Hey everyone, it is Bridget here from Bridget's Kitchen, wishing you a very happy day, whatever you are doing, wherever you are around the world. Let us know where you're joining us from today. I am back in my kitchen here in Sydney, sporting some pretty cool reindeer ears, antlers and ears today. They're a little bit big for the camera, so you're only going to get like the ears, which is okay, but that's what we're going to have today. And today is day officially number 5 of our 12 cooking days till Christmas. And today what we're going to be doing is one of my absolute favorite dishes to have on Christmas Day. In fact, Christmas does not happen unless this dish is on the table, and that is trifle. I grew up knowing that trifle always made an appearance on Christmas Day, and also it never seemed to make an appearance any other time of the year, which is really strange. I'm not sure if any of you guys have trifle any other time of the year apart from Christmas, but it was definitely a Christmas staple in our house, not just in our house, but in my extended family. And we would get together, you know, like I'm sure you guys do as well. Big groups of us would get together, and we'd usually go to my grandma's house, and there was always trifle on the table. Absolutely always. And it was the first thing I went for. Before anything else, I headed for the trifle, and it was just, the memories of it were amazing. Now, sadly for me, and for chances are a few of you who are watching today, is that when we think about trifle, we think about the fact that there's a lot of cream in there, so there's a lot of dairy. We also think about that there's a high quantity of sugar, and also there's gluten. So what I've done for you guys, and hi to Helen joining us from Napier. I love Napier so much. Helen's one of my favorite parts of the world. For anyone who doesn't know where Napier is, it is kind of in the middle of the North Island of New Zealand, and it's off to the east coast, and it's the most beautiful. It's that whole area of the Hawke's Bay is literally the fruit bowl of New Zealand. You can get the most amazing produce, the most amazing wine, and of course Napier is the Art Deco capital of New Zealand, and every year Napier celebrates Art Deco, and they have the most amazing food and wine festivals, as well as the most incredible, if you're into sort of the Art Deco era, then you need to go to Napier. Now we're talking about the 1920s, 1930s, all that sort of time, which was really, you know, Art Deco was just amazing. Go to Napier, you will love it. So there you go, and hi to Karen joining us from Perth as well. So reindeer ears, I said I'll talk to you guys this way today. So yes, we're doing trifle, as I was saying, and trifle is literally Christmas to me in a bowl. So I had to make a version for us that was gluten-free, sugar-free, and dairy-free. So today that's what we're going to be doing. Now the first thing we're going to be doing, now all these recipes, by the way, are part of my Christmas ebook, Bridget's Healthy Christmas. If you'd like to get yourself a copy, it's not too late. It's not too late to get yourself a copy. There's 50 recipes in there, and all those recipes are gluten-free, sugar-free, and dairy-free. So they're really good for our gut health. So you can still be healthy this Christmas. You can still be guilt-free this Christmas, but still eat wonderfully, deliciously. So that's what we're trying to do, especially when it comes to these classes, is give you guys a few hints and tips about how I do Christmas. And the most major thing I can recommend when it comes to doing Christmas, and I spoke about this yesterday in yesterday's class. In yesterday's class we did a sponge, the sponge, which is now going to go into the trifle. I spoke about this, and it's about being as stress-free as possible, to just relax, you know. And I know sometimes it's really hard to do. I spent the morning away when I had my hair done, got a hairdo, as you may notice, got a little bit of a hairdo, but I also had to do a bit of shopping for this class, and it was a bit stressful in the supermarket. You know, people were kind of rushing around, and there wasn't enough, you know, people working the registers, and it was all this sort of, you know, it was a little bit chaotic. And I had to really take some big deep breaths in. We never ever take it out on the people that are working behind the registers, or, you know, just be aware that if you're stressed out, these guys are in that space the entire day. So smile at them, show them a bit of love, be a bit patient as well. So I think this is what we need to do, is we need to just take a deep breath, breathe. Remember, everyone is in the same type of predicament as us. We are all busy. We're all trying to get in and out as quickly as possible when it comes to shopping, especially. So just be nice to your fellow person who's serving you, or who's helping you in the store, or who's at the registers, or just, you know, whoever it is. Just remember that they too are experiencing what you're experiencing, but maybe even on a worse level. So I was taught patience this morning when I was at the supermarket and I came home like this, a little bit stressed out. But now that I'm with you guys here, I'm just reminded that it's just time to chill. Everyone just take a deep breath. And remember, if things don't quite go your way, that's okay as well. You know, we can always fix whatever the problem is. So what we're going to do today is a stress-free trifle. I'm going to breathe deeply. My reindeer antlers and my ears are going to help. We're going to breathe deeply and we're just going to work our way through this recipe. As I said, I'm not even sure whether I'm completely set up because I'm a little bit stressed out this morning, but we're going to just get through it anyway. So sugar-free, dairy-free, gluten-free trifle. The first thing we need to do, and if you go to the ebook, if you've got a copy of the ebook, it's a good idea to maybe follow along at home because there are elements to trifle, as you guys probably already know. The first element is like the sponge cake. Now we made that yesterday. We made that yesterday on the 12 cooking days till Christmas. So that was day 4. That was yesterday. If you want to see that video, just go back onto Bridget's kitchen and you can go through the video and you can get the tips on how to make a gluten-free, sugar-free sponge cake. So that is there. The other elements that we need to prepare is the fruit. Now we are making a berry and chocolate trifle. So I have the berries already prepared. I also have the whipped cream. In our case, it is a coconut whipped cream because it's dairy-free. And yes, I did a video on that as well. So if you go back onto Bridget's kitchens and look through the videos and you'll see, you know, Bridget's 12 cooking days till Christmas, and when I did a pavlova, which I believe was day 2, I also taught you guys how to do the coconut whipped cream as well. So that's there. So I have my coconut whipped cream already ready. It's sitting in the fridge waiting for us. I have my berries already ready, and these are all part of the recipe as well. So I have my berries, and I'll talk about that later on. And I also have the ingredients ready so we can make the third major element to our trifle, which is the custard. So the custard that we're doing today is an almond milk custard. So it is free from sugar, it is free from dairy as well, and it is free from gluten. So how amazing is that? So join me down here on the bench because we're going to start getting into our almond milk custard. So come on down, and the first thing you'll notice is I have my little cooktop here ready to go, and I'm going to begin to heat up the almond milk because yes, we are making an almond milk. Oh, firstly, here's today's penny. What do you reckon? It's this is oh, you can kind of see it. This is gingham. This is called gingham, and it's that kind of that checkered look. You can see that checkered look. This is my gingham apron. Yes, it's got a pocket. Very cool, very special. Goes with my blue workout shorts that I've got on as well, don't you reckon? But this is my gingham apron, looking pretty fancy, I reckon. So, but we're going to get into our custard. So, turning on my cooktop. And don't forget, if you've got any questions as we are going through today, please ask your questions. I have the fabulous Mahei sitting behind his laptop, and he will direct me if we have any questions. All right, so in here I have my almond milk. I'm using unsweetened, really important, no sugar, right? Unsweetened almond milk goes into the pot. And when it comes to your unsweetened almond milk, if you can get organic, even better. For some people, they want to make their own almond milk, you can totally do that as well. If you don't want to have almond milk, you could add a pinch do rice milk, but I'm not a big fan of rice milk because it's quite high in carbohydrates, so it can spike your blood sugar levels, especially if you are diabetic, pre-diabetic, or just wanting to keep your insulin levels low. So I do put in a little bit of a warning there, is that if you are kind of looking at things from a insulin level or a blood sugar level, I wouldn't suggest rice milk, and I would go for a nut milk. So it doesn't have to be almond, could be macadamia nut, could even be oat milk. You could totally do that as well, completely up to you. I'm using almond milk, and as I said, unsweetened almond milk. So I've got this on medium heat, and then what I need to do is prepare the ingredients that are going to be put into this. Medium heat. Now it's on medium. So when it comes to our custard, I've got a little bowl here. I'm going to break in a couple of whole eggs. Go in there. And as well as that, just to make it lovely and creamy, I'm also going to add in just one yolk as well. So we've got 2 whole eggs, and then we've got 1 yolk that goes in there. So the next thing we want to think about Go there. The next thing we want to think about is what are we going to use as a thickening agent. So the thickener that I'm using today is actually tapioca starch. You could also use arrowroot. You could also use a corn flour. And I'm going to use a couple of tablespoons, heaped tablespoons of tapioca starch goes in there, also known as tapioca flour. So we're going to put 3 heaped tablespoons go in there. A little bit more, that wasn't quite heaped enough. Oops, and she's made a mess already. As well as that, we're going to start thinking about the sweetener. And the sweetener that I'm using today, I'm sure you can guess what that is. I'm adding a couple tablespoons of inulin powder is going in there. So now we're making it a prebiotic custard, which is amazing. And the other thing I'm going to add in there is a couple of tablespoons of fiber syrup. So that is now going in there as well. And fiber syrup, as you guys know, is a prebiotic syrup. So we're creating, once again, this fabulous prebiotic custard. Now I'm going to go find my whisk, because I've lost my whisk already. Oh, here it is. Here it is, I got it. Alright, so taking up my whisk, give that a little bit of a blend, without making a mess like I am, but that's okay. Messes are fine. So give it a good whisk, because you have got starch in there. So you really do definitely want to whisk this as opposed to just stirring it with a wooden spoon, because you want to make sure that you break up all just in case you've got lumps, you want to break those up. And when that is looking lovely and smooth like it is now, just like that, we're going to add it into our almond milk. So just pour that in. Remember, this is all done over medium heat. I want to bring it to the boil. I want, just like you're making a normal custard, right? I want to gently cook that. Gently cook that. Give that a bit of a stir. At the same time, I'm going to add in just a couple of teaspoons, about that much, of vanilla essence. And if you wanted to, you could also add in, at this time, you could add in a couple of pandan leaves. And if you're wondering what pandan leaves are, I will show you. Give me a second while I go to the freezer. Okay, so this is my bag of pandan leaves that I keep in the freezer. And pandan leaves, they come from a tropical plant, very, very popular in Southeast Asian cooking. And this is known as the vanilla of the Southeast. So this is what is used, and look what I'm doing. I'm just taking this leaf. Yes, I do keep it in the freezer. It just keeps it longer. And I'm knotting it. It's going to help to extract the flavors. And I'm just going to take that pandan leaf and I'm going to drop it in there. And that's going to help to give our custard the most incredible flavor. Like this, for me, is there's certain dishes that I just will not, it has to be added to, and one of those is whenever I make anything to do with a milky style dessert, I use pandan leaves. So we're going to put a couple of those in there. You can buy these from the Asian supermarket. It's really it's not that easy to find fresh pandan leaves, so you can actually find that in the freezer section of your Asian supermarket. It costs a couple of bucks. You get a big packet, and all you do is just store it like I am, store it in a little baggie and store that in the freezer. And it will last for ages. Like, it will seriously last for ages. And it will give you the most amazing flavor to your custard, like you've never experienced this before. Honestly, if you've never used pandan leaves, I suggest you go and search them out. They're spelled P-A-N-D-A-N, like as in panda with an N. But pandan leaves. No, P-A-N-D-A-N, pandan leaves. They are amazing. I'm already getting this whiff, this robust vanilla hitting me. And not only can you use pandan leaves to flavor things, you can also use pandan leaves for color as well. You may see there's like a bright green that is very popular in Southeast Asian desserts. Usually that color comes directly from pandan. So it's just a wonderful addition to your freezer in your pantry. It's gorgeous. So that's in there. Now, another little trick for you guys that is not in the recipe, but if you want to add a little bit of color to your custard, a pinch of turmeric, would you believe, is going to help to give you a yellow color, just like custard. Someone asked me that the other day in our private group, And I laughed that she picked out how come my custard was really, really yellow, even though there wasn't anything else in there but literally egg yolks, eggs, a little bit of that inulin, and then almond milk. And I had to admit, yes, I use a pinch of turmeric in there. Just a pinch, not too much, because otherwise you taste like you're having curry, and you really want to have custard. But already, just after that small amount of time on medium, look how that's thickened already. So what we're looking for is definitely the consistency of custard. So I've spent time with this, I haven't walked away from it. I've definitely spent time. I'm just whisking in the turmeric. I realized that it didn't quite you don't want a lump of turmeric in your custard. That would be pretty awful. But what I'm looking for is the consistency of custard. And you guys know what custard consistency is. We call this coating the back of a spoon. I'm going to grab a spoon so you can see what I mean. When you put your spoon into your custard, it should stay like that. Can you see that? That is called coating the back of the spoon. It's thick enough that it sticks to the back of the spoon. Let me show you. Do you see? Oh, it's hot. Ah! It's burning my hand. Alright, so that is called coating consistency. And this is exactly what we do, chefs. And we check by seeing whether it can coat the back of the spoon like a thick sauce. That's the consistency you're looking for. I'm just licking the spoon and it tastes really, really good. So now I'm going to turn that off and I'm just going to allow that to cool. See you later. You stay there. We've got other stuff to do. Okay, so custard's ready. The other part of the recipe, as you guys will have remembered from yesterday, is that gluten-free, sugar-free sponges that I did. And remember, I burnt them and I said it's okay, you can just take the top off. That's absolutely fine. When it comes to trifle, you can just take the top off, even though I burnt it. Remember, we're not going to stress out for Christmas. We're going to have a wonderful stress-free Christmas. So that is our sponge there. The other element that I need to make sure I've done is the berries. So in this pot here, I have frozen berries. Well, they were frozen, now they're defrosted. I put 500 grams of berries in here. I added a couple tablespoons of inulin powder just to give it a bit of a sweetness and to boost the dietary fiber. And I just allowed them to come to the boil once. As soon as they were boiled, I turned it off, and now I have this amazing macerated, big, huge pot of berries, because remember we're doing a berry and chocolate trifle, so that is ready to go. The other element, and all these things, like I said, are in the recipe, in the ebook, which is what do I call it? Let me see what I call it. Festive Berry Chocolate Trifle, because it's very festive. The other element that I have here, and the recipe is in there, is what is known as a simple syrup. So a simple syrup is literally, well, it's normally sugar and water, and then you can add some spices and stuff. I have added to mine a bit of cinnamon, and I've also added a little bit of star anise. You can add those or not. But a simple syrup is what's going to help to keep our sponge moist, because we want to make sure our trifle is really moist and decadent. So that's why I've made a simple syrup. Now the other thing you can use simple syrup for, and as I was saying, the recipe is in the ebook. The other thing you can use it for is actually for cocktail making. And guess what we're doing tomorrow, everyone? A cocktail making class. So simple syrup is amazing, and of course my simple syrup is sugar-free. So this is a prebiotic simple syrup that's good for cocktails, and it's great for trifle. So that is ready as well. So look at me, I'm just getting all my elements together, so make sure that I'm ready to go. I also need to make sure I've got some sugar-free chocolate chips here. I bought these from Coles. If you're in Australia, they're doing sugar-free chocolate chips now. I have some of those. They're going to go there. I'm also just going to go to the fridge. Listen for the jingle bells. Alright, in my fridge I have my pre-whipped coconut cream. As you can see, look how firm that is. That is my coconut cream that I whipped up. That is the other element that I need for my trifle. So what we can start to do now is we can start to assemble our trifle, because we have all our elements ready to go, which is exciting. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my sponge, and I need to cut my sponge up into kind of like squares, I suppose. So just cutting it into pieces. You don't have to be dainty here. You can be a little bit forceful. You can tell the sponge who's in charge. But do you notice when I'm cutting it, it's springing back, it's sponging back at me, it's springing back. So our sponge is lovely and light. Look at that, wah. It's lovely and light, which is perfect. So our sponge is the first one. Throw my bowl here, put my cut sponge in. And it just goes to show you that even if you overcook it a little bit, it's totally okay. It is okay. We don't have to worry. Let's cut some more sponge. I do like it. It's totally springing back at me. Remember, our sponge is gluten-free, sugar-free, and dairy-free, which is amazing. I never thought I'd be able to eat trifle again. It was one of those things that I was just so concerned about because I love trifle so much, and it reminds me so much of being a kid. And we all love those memories of Christmas and family time and family gatherings. And actually trifle appeared twice in our family, on Christmas Day and on New Year's Day. Those were the only 2 times ever. Apart from that, never ever appeared. That was the only 2 times. Alright, so our sponge is ready. So what we can think about doing now, let me flip my board, give me a clean surface to work from. What are you going to serve your your trifle in? I suggest strongly that you serve it in something made of glass, because then you're going to be able to see those beautiful layers as we're going along, which is really, really important, because remember guys, we eat with our eyes. It is such a visual experience when you see those wonderful layers of trifle. So definitely, if you have a glass bowl, I would suggest you do it in a glass bowl. This one I just think I bought from Kmart for like $9 or something, and look at it, it's on its little pedestal. It's gorgeous. So we're going to start with the base, and the base is sponge. Let's start with that. So lay out some sponge. We're going to do a couple of layers. We're going to attempt to do a couple of layers. I reckon we'll get there. So lay out your sponge, and remember that simple syrup that we did. This is where the simple syrup really comes into itself, because we are able to then just spoon the simple syrup. And it's got flavours, remember, of cinnamon, it's got flavours of star anise, which are all very Christmassy flavours. And it's going to help to keep our sponge lovely and moist. And it's so important that your trifle's not dry. I can't stand dry trifle. Now, if you are the type that like to do alcohol, now might be a good time to add alcohol. I know I've said this before, but we didn't do alcohol in our desserts when I was growing up, so it's just not something I'm used to. But I know for a lot of people, they do like a little bit of alcohol in their trifle. So this is when you'd very gently add a bit of booze. Up to you. I will leave that up to you. And I also have learned recently that here in Australia, you guys have jelly with your trifle. I never had that as well. So this is a jelly-free trifle. Apologies if you're used to having jelly, but I'm just not used to having jelly. It kind of freaked me out when I heard that. So my trifle is literally sponge, fruit, cream, and custard. That's where I'm going with this. So let's start with the next layer. And the next layer is that wonderful berries that we had here. Look at those berries. They're just wonderful, and they're nice. They're not, the reason why I bring them off the heat as soon as they come to the boil is I really want the berries to stay whole. And because they are frozen, they are quite delicate. And if you boil them too much, what will happen is you will have mush, which is not nice. So we're just gonna sprinkle, if you can sprinkle fruit over the sponge layer. And I'm working towards the edges because that's going to give us those nice layers. It's going to look like lovely layers. And someone's just said, yes, jelly always. Oh, it's kind of crazy for me to have jelly and booze in my trifle. It was just never a thing. Never ever a thing. Jelly we had, but jelly was separate. And I'm really sorry to say, guys, I still haven't worked out how to do a healthy jelly. I'm sure it's possible. You'd have some sort of sugar-free, sweetener or something like that, but I haven't done it yet. I'm not a fan of jelly, if you guys hadn't noticed. All right, 2 layers, looking good. Take your time with this, like really seriously, like have fun with this particular step of the dessert making process. So over to my custard. Oh, those pandans smell amazing, but I am going to say goodbye to them. I'm actually going to get rid of the pandan. We don't need them in the trifle. Remember that they are there to flavour. So goodbye, you gorgeous, gorgeous things, but I don't need you in the trifle. Ideally, At this point, your custard's already a little bit cooler than mine, but I just want to show you that you can get away with it by having, it's not hot because we never let the custard come to the boil, it just kind of simmered away there, so it's okay in general. But ideally, I need a big spoon. Where's my big, you know what? No, I don't. I'm going to tip it. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Now this is going to be quite thin custard. It will thicken as it cools, which is actually ideal because right now, you know what that custard's doing. It is going and it's mixing down. Give it a little bit of a shake. And it's going down, it's starting to really absorb that sponge layer, which is important. We need it to absorb the sponge layer. Here we go. Bit of custard. It smells so good. Gosh, I love pandan. You guys need to go. If you haven't ever tried pandan, just go and search it out. You will not be disappointed. All right, get down there, custard. Get down there. Get down there. Do your thing. Do your work. Drizzle, dribble. Move through those sponge layers. Give it a bit of a hand, guys. Give it a bit of a hand. All right. So now we have got 3 layers. Fantastic. Let's now work on the next thing. Oh, before I forget, remember those chocolate chips I talked about? This is your time to just sprinkle in a few chocolate chips. Just a few, not too many. Not too many, unless you really like chocolate. I love chocolate in my trifle.
Not too plenty.
Not too plenty. Yes, as Mahey says, not too plenty. I love chocolate in my trifle. Absolutely love it. Right, just a few little sprinkles there. Let's go with the next layer. All right, so we're back to our friend the sponge. Our lovely sponge there, which just has so much flavor. Like I think about the, you know, the sponge you buy in the stores, which I know is very convenient, but it literally has no flavor. It just tastes like sugar. It's just sweet. Whereas this has such an incredible flavor to it that you will not be disappointed. And it's not that hard to do. Just go and watch that video. It's not that hard to do. All right, here we go. It's looking fantastic. Okay, that can go there. So now all our sponges in there, which is good. Back to our simple syrup and just dribble it on, or if you're using a little bit of alcohol, now is your time to shine. But you know me, alcohol free. I keep the alcohol in the cocktails, which is what we're doing tomorrow. So excited for tomorrow's class as well. Cocktail, healthy, skinny cocktail making class for all of us who are looking after our guts. All right, so give it a good soak. Wonderful, absolutely marvelous. Let's go back to our berries, high berries, and just spoon those across. And already we are getting the most gorgeous looking layers coming out of this trifle. Lovely layers, gorgeous layers. And also gorgeous berries. And one other wonderful thing about these berries is that once you've spooned out all those berries, and yeah, you can add a little bit of juice if you want to, because one of the things I love about these berries is after I've used all the berries up, I've got all that wonderful juice that I'm going to keep as well. So I'm not going to throw that away because that is phenomenal. I can use those in cocktails too, by the way, which is super exciting. So I'm not going to throw that. That is going to be used for something delicious later on. Beautiful layers. How you doing? Back to our custard. Oh, no. Let's do this. I keep on forgetting the chocolate. Mahay's looking at me with eyebrows like, what are you doing? Love, you forgot the chocolate. So chocolate is going on too. Not too much, no, not too much chocolate. Little bit of sugar-free chocolate. Bit more custard. Oh my gosh. This is exciting. This is exciting. Yeah, well, hey, there's a good question. Who amongst you is a fan of trifle? Who likes trifle? Is this something you guys grew up with? Let us know. If you grew up eating this, look at that. Look at that. We haven't even finished it. Let us know, please, because, you know, like I said, I'm a fan of trifle. If it's something that you grew up with, let us know in the comments below, because it's really interesting to see how we all, you know, what we all used to have on that Christmas table or that holiday table. Fascinating. Oh, I'm back on. I don't know what happened there. It tried to throw me off. If we had a little interruption with the broadcast, I apologise. Mahey said it was all very fine. Right, last step we're going to do is that wonderful thick cream goes on top. Look at that. Yep, we're back on. Mahia said it's all good. You haven't lost me and I haven't lost you, which is really important. So in this particular bowl here, I actually have 2 cans of whipped coconut cream. And remember that brand that I spoke about before that is just like one of the best brands of coconut cream you can get on the market? Is Kara. If you can read that back to front, Kara. This I get from the Asian supermarket, and you literally get to extract so much of this thickness. There's hardly any waste. So I'm not even going to need to use all the cream I've got in there. I'm only going to use probably not even 1 can to top our trifle. That's all I'm going to use. So I can use this for something else. Isn't that exciting? We can make something else with our whipped coconut cream because I've got so much of it. And that was just from 2 cans. You could literally get away if you use a good quality coconut cream. Remember that Kara brand is really good. I do definitely recommend it. The other one that people are having a great bit of success with when it comes to making the whipped coconut cream is the Ayam brand. So AYAM. Apparently that's pretty good as well. I haven't tried it myself because I'm in love with the Kara. I'm in love with the Kara cream. All right, that is it topped up and loving everything about this. All we need to do now, it's gonna put you guys up just a little bit. All we need to do now is think about how to garnish the top of this, because that's all part of the excitement as well, is how do you garnish something that looks, and it's pretty heavy. I reckon we've got at least 3 kilos of trifle here. This is huge. Yes, Mahi's got a question.
Celine Toner says you can get Kara in New Zealand from Countdown.
There you go. Did you hear that, New Zealand? You can get Kara coconut cream and coconut milk, which I love both of them, from Countdown in New Zealand. I haven't seen it in the Aussie supermarkets, so I go to my Asian supermarket. But in New Zealand, where coconut cream is consumed probably even more so, because not only do we use it for desserts and stuff, but it's also used for like raw fish in New Zealand, which is really popular. You can get the Kara brand in the supermarket. So thank you for that. So let's go to the garnish. And what you can see, I already have my little garnishes already ready here. So because it's a berry trifle, I'm using berries. So I've got blueberries, I have strawberries that I've just chopped into little pieces as well, which is going to help with the garnishing. I also have a few cherries, and it makes it very easy to garnish because you can just literally just go along here with your strawberries and begin to, I think this is not only a really cool looking garnish, but it's also really easy garnish to do. I've made this so many times and it always looks really cool on the table. Rather than having, whole strawberries and sliced strawberries, just be a little bit sort of random with it and keep the slices small. Use something like blueberries as well, which is going to help to keep it looking kind of random. And what you get is just the gorgeous, and it's really also important, by the way, to have fresh fruit in there as well, because you want textural differences when you cut into this trifle. So you want to be able to taste and feel the differences of the fresh fruit, of the soft fruit, sponge, cream, custard, and then of course the real crispiness. I'm just adding a few chocolate pieces of the chocolate goes in there as well. So you can just, you could probably just stop there if you wanted to, because it's looking kind of cool and it's looking kind of spectacular. But what you can also do, if you wanted to, because cherries are wonderful, is you could just put a couple of cherries on there, just to kind of break it up just a little bit. Cherries have that attached green bit, which always looks cool as well. So a couple of cherries go on there. Yummy, yum. And cherries are gorgeous because they're in season this time of year. So you could do that. And the last thing you could do, if you wanted to, not the last, actually second to last thing you could do, is I've got my rose petals. You guys know I love rose petals. And rose petals, you could just literally go sprinkle, sprinkle. And when it comes to the rose petals, what I like about it is they are a beautiful deep color. So different to the strawberries, so different to the cherries as well. So you get a contrast of color on top of your desserts, on top of your trifle, which always looks kind of cool as well. So you can have a bit of a sprinkling of those rose petals I definitely wouldn't put a whole rose petal on there because that would be really difficult to eat. That wouldn't be too pleasant. So that's why I always just go for the petals, just taken out of the stem, and then they just can naturally break over the top. And they look pretty spectacular as well. I love that contrast of colour. Last thing you could do, I know I keep on saying it's the last thing, but this is literally could be the last thing you could do. Take a little bit of inulin and then just dust it on top, especially on those cherries. Then it looks like Christmas. Oh, this, I'm not sure about you guys, but I'm just like, really? Oh, look at that. Isn't that amazing? Like, what do you guys think of that? That looks good. And you know, it is one of those desserts that it's actually better the next day. So this is one thing that you can even prepare the day before you want to serve it, because it improves. Because what's going to happen overnight is all those flavors are going to soak together into that sponge, and you're going to get a really, really wonderful trifle. So if you wanted to, you could totally complete it like this, put a bit of cling film over it, and then just leave it in the fridge till you're ready to serve 24 hours later. The first time I made this particular trifle, which was the gluten, sugar, dairy-free one that's in the ebook, Bridget's Healthy Christmas. The first time I made this, we were still eating this. How many days later, Mahi, were we eating that trifle? Like 3 or 4 days later, it was still amazing. Yep. So you can make this in advance, which is wonderful to know, because it doesn't mean you're stressing yourself out. Remember, we're going to have a stress-free Christmas. We're going to have a stress-free Christmas. Yes, we are. So there you go, trifle. Yay! Big trifle. Like, you need a big bowl. I reckon this has got to be at least 3.5 to 4 kilos, I'm thinking now, of dessert. It will feed maybe 10 to 12 people, maybe more, especially if you've got more desserts that you're serving. Yeah. And you only need a spoon of this because it's rich, right? So you only need a spoonful of this. So you could literally, even if you're maybe 20 people with other desserts on the table, you could get away with one of these trifles. So it can be stretched out when you're serving other things. If you're doing this on its own, my husband always wants to have it with ice cream. He has trifle and ice cream. If you want to have this on its own with just, you know, something else small on the side, you can probably get away with 10 to 14 people with this huge big trifle. So there you go, guys. That was literally day 5. That's 10. Day 5 of our 12 cooking days till Christmas. I'm so excited that you joined me today, because as I was saying, this is one of my favorite recipes. But don't forget to join me tomorrow, because tomorrow it's going a little bit crazy and we're doing a healthy cocktail making class. I'm doing 4 or 5 cocktails with you guys tomorrow, and then I'm going to be sharing, I think I've got 10 to 12 recipes with you as well. But you need to join me for the class tomorrow so you can get all access to all those recipes. We will put the link up for all those recipes. I've got a question. Yes, Mahi?
Just from Robin Jennings asking, can you make your sponge into a jam roll? Can you make your sponge into a jam roll?
Look, I've never tried, because a jam roll requires it to be rolled. I can imagine so. I don't see why not, because it's a similar. All we've done really with it is we have removed. Oh, actually, we've removed quite a lot of things. Look, I can't say. I can't give you an absolute answer because I've never tried a jam roll, but I don't see why not. You put it into the sandwich tin, the mixture, and you lay it out flat. You allow it to cool, and then you'll gently roll it. I don't know whether it's going to crack on you, so that's the only thing I'm a little bit unsure of, because I've not done it personally. But you can give it a go if you want to. It's probably the best way to answer that question. I haven't done it myself. Sounds like you can. Like, in my mind, I'm thinking you can, because the sponge is actually quite pliable when it's made. So yeah, we'll see how we go. So thank you guys for joining me today. Don't forget to join me tomorrow. It'll be an evening class tomorrow, 6 o'clock city time class. In the meantime, this is going to go into the fridge. We've got guests coming over tonight. Guess what they're eating? Trifle. If you're that guest coming over tonight, dinner is nearly ready. All right, guys, love you and leave you. Enjoy today. Try to be calm, be patient, especially if you're shopping. Smile at the person who's serving you. Give them love, show them compassion, and you will make their day as well, and you'll feel a lot better about doing it too. So thank you guys, and we'll talk to you really, really soon. Bye-bye.